the door shut right as that happened. I was like, what happened? Okay, Britt, what's your running story?
Um, I mean, I feel like my running story has two distinct parts,
Okay.
which is they're very different, which always I love. So I first started running in 2013 after I got married because I wanted to like lose weight. But like I'd never been a runner in my entire life.
Mhm.
I swam competitively in high school.
Oh, very cool.
I Yeah, so I was always like, no, my breathing is for swimming, not for running, because they're actually the opposite. When you swim, you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. And when you run,
Mm.
it's in through your nose and out through your mouth. I still have trouble with breathing that way, which is just so weird. But so like I was like, I don't know. But then I trained with a friend who did the hot chocolate 5K. Then we signed up for the Shamrock Shuffle, the big race in Chicago. And then we were at the expo for the Shamrock Shuffle, and I like turned to the side and there was like the half marathon for like, oh God, what is it? Like the rock and roll half marathon.
Yeah.
And they were like, if you sign up today, it's 40% off and you get a shirt. And I was like, oh shit, I love swag. Yes, I love a shirt. And I signed up, and my friend who was with me, she was like, I'm going to think about it. I was like, okay, cool. It'll be so fun to run this together.
Yeah.
Never signed up for it. And so I did that half like all by myself, like not a drop of running knowledge to my brain. Like I didn't have a water bottle, electrolytes. There was no fuel anywhere. Like I rolled into that with a pair of headphones and a playlist. And I was like, this is going to be great. And my husband followed me the whole race, like, Gatorade? I was like, yes. So he'd like run to Walgreens and then meet me like a mile later and give me the Gatorade because I was like dying. It was such a terrible experience.
Amazing.
And then I got injured almost immediately after that race. I like tripped and sprained my ankle really badly. And so I stopped running for
Mhm.
years. And then when COVID hit, I was at home with two small kids. I was teaching online with
Oh gosh.
4-year-olds. Like it was
Oh my gosh.
horrendous. Like with my husband working at home too. And so it's like me with my 18-month-old daughter, and I'm like, this is the letter C. C says K. It's for crazy, which is what I am. Like that's all my life was. I turned to my husband. I was like, I think I'm gonna go for a run. I'm done for the day. I'm just gonna go outside. And so I started running again, and I did a half that December, and then I slowly gained some steam. And so I've been kind of running ever since. Yeah, since COVID. So like, kind of got me back into it, which is really great.
That's so many funny parts of that whole story. Um, I have when COVID was happening, my nephew came to visit me and he was 4 at the time, 4 or 5. And so he was in virtual school while he was visiting me. And so
Yeah.
I had to sit with him and literally it's the most crazy thing to even think that a child can sit in front of a computer for that.
For that long
For that long. And
and
he was
do
getting so irritated about another kid in his
oh
class. He's just hated this kid named Albert. Sorry, Albert. Because, he's my nephew's a know it all. I love him. He's a know it all. And this other kid is a know it all. And they're like competing for know it allness. And then this is the other layer for them. He does dual language. So some of the
oh
classes be taught in
man.
Spanish. And it was just, he was like, what did they say? And I was like, I don't know Spanish. I don't know what they said, dude. I can't. So I can't even
Oh
imagine. Like, yeah, you needed a stress reliever.
yeah, I
Gee.
it was a big thing. And then I also, another big thing for me is that I I was suffering from postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
Even that still laid on, and it had kind of just really gotten so bad with
Mhm.
like COVID and having the kids at home. There was just no escape anywhere. And it just like, I just need to be by myself. And so
Yeah.
like, I got out, and it was a big thing for me. And it became something I did like every day. It was like the screens went off. My husband took a 45-minute break,
Mhm.
like at 3 o'clock or whatever. And I would go out for a run, and like I would go and disappear, and I would come back feeling more normal and everything else. So like it became this physical mental release that I really needed to get through all of that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's
So what
big.
was the gap between you starting again and then doing a half marathon?
So my gosh, 5 years, 6 years.
Oh
It
my
was a
gosh.
while. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I did some other things. Another thing was I had a big job change. So I changed to where I'm currently teaching, and I was finishing like my master's degree. And so it was kind of like, oh, this is the perfect time to stop running. I have all this stuff to do. I have a new job that I'm getting all this stuff through and finishing my master's and everything else. And then the next year I was pregnant with my oldest, and it was just kind of like, I'm too out of shape. I'm too far out of shape to start running again pregnant.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
And then it was like, now I have a baby.
Yeah.
Well, I have no free time. Then it was, then I had my second, and it was a very similar thing. And then it was kind of like, so it like snowballed. And then one day it was just like, I just need to not be in this house.
Absolutely. I'm interested just because my own perspective on this, but how is your kind of relationship with wanting change and your relationship with your body that runs changed pre-partum and postpartum?
Oh my gosh. The best one of the most important conversations I ever had with my husband was after my second daughter. He was just like, you seem really off. And I was like, no, for sure. And he's like, I get it's a big change. And I kind of just looked at him and I was like, I care for you deeply, more than really any other human. But I don't think you understand the level of change that a baby does. Like even our second daughter, like we had already switched into parenthood, but like my brain chemical, like my brain, is different. My body is so different. Like my job is now different. How I spend my days, how I interact with other people, how I time things. Like there's literally no part of my life that is the same anymore. And you come home from work and you have the baby for 4 hours and she goes to bed and you go back to where you were 9 months ago. There's no difference for you. But for moms and for people who have young children, like especially physically, it's such a huge shift. And so it took me a long time to figure out like the balance of how my body would move again, because I had put on a lot of weight physically. And so doing that and finding shoes that would work with my feet that had changed from pregnancy and clothing I felt comfortable in and all of those things was a big physical thing. And so once I kind of sorted that out, it was really about like just making sure I felt okay with kind of distancing myself from my family and my kids and those kinds of things. Because with my postpartum anxiety, it was a huge thing to be like, I'm going to leave my baby alone with someone.
Oh, yeah.
The baby will be fine. Baby has milk. I just pump, all those logistics and everything, because I'm a very type A person. And so I had to make sure all of those things were in place. Then it was like, okay, there's literally nothing else I can do to plan. I'm going to leave. And so like once I started doing that, it was much easier to just kind of go and get into the groove of being out there and finding that athletic identity again. But once I did that, it was easier. But it's a hard thing.
I know. And especially, I mean, this, what society puts on you is that, you bounce back and you come back, and the goal is always to be the person you were before you gave birth. Right. But that's literally like completely impossible. It's completely impossible.
You scientifically are not the same person, right? Like there's nothing about you that was the same as you were before you had kids.
Yeah.
Like the hair on your head has grown, like the skin has stretched, the nails are gone, like whatever was left that was there before probably is regenerated by now. I mean, if anything, but like even mentally, you can't process things the same way. Like it's just so different. And society putting that pressure on women is just what?
It's fucking garbage. And even me, like bullshit. I am Zen, I am counterculture. I don't do it like that. I've been in the mentality a long time, but even for me, like I've struggled in this year to be like, oh, I'm not going to be the runner I was before. I'm just not, there's no fucking way for me to be the runner I was before. And having to accept like, oh, this is who I am now. Like, who are you? Let me learn you. Yeah. And it's a whole new thing. It's crazy. And I wish like the narrative, and it's shifting. The narrative around postpartum is 100% shifting, even in the past year. But
did you hear about Boston?
Yeah, they're now deferring for pregnant women.
For pregnant women and postpartum. How nuts that took so fucking long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the race, which is one of its shining images is of yanking a woman out of the race,
True.
Kind of predictable.
Women can come. We don't like you.
Yeah, we don't like you. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So you started running again. You did a half marathon. And then what happened next? Because I mean, we're 3 years past COVID at this point.
So I ran a half. And then I was running with a friend on the 606, which is beautiful.
So beautiful.
And we found out that Boston was doing the virtual marathon that fall. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so strong. I could totally do a marathon with no like time limit. Hell yeah, I could do that. And so like we're in a coffee shop filling out applications, and I get in and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna do the virtual Boston. That's amazing. Well, yeah, great. And then I start training and I was like, I need to actually do this in a race. Like, I don't think I can do this by myself.
Yeah.
So I fundraised for Chicago in 2021 with Girls on the Run, and everything was fine. I'm ready to go, train. I got super sick 3 weeks before.
Oof.
Not with COVID. I think I just had a flu. And so it was like, I missed my longest run. And then like, it was in the taper, but I was still sick. And so like my taper was like, boom,
yeah.
it just crashed into the ground. Off.
Yeah.
It was so bad. And then race day came. It was a great weekend. I saw a ton of friends who would come, a bunch of people I trained with, and I got swept at mile 6.
Oh, that's right.
And so like I busted my ass, and then like it was so funny because I had a coworker who saw me at like 5.5, and I'm bawling, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, the cop cars, I'm gonna get swept. And she's like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And so I'm running and people are tracking me, and then I disappear off the map at 10K because in Chicago, when they sweep, it is a literal sweep. Like it's like cops come and they're like, get off the
it's
road.
like the actual street cleaner.
It's like a row of street cleaners dominating down. And so like they're so loud that it's just like it's deafening, and like
that's so demoralizing.
It's so heartbreaking. And so it's like the street cleaners, the sirens, there's no first aid anymore. There's no fluid, there's no fuel, there's no course support. Like they start pulling the things that block the street, the horses. And then the only thing that tells you where you're going is the blue line, like the tangent.
Yeah.
And so if you don't realize the tangent's there, you don't know where the hell you are.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like going through Halstead, and I'm like, where the hell? Oh, the tangent turned. I need to turn. And so like it was so demoralizing, so heartbreaking. And like that was the year that it was like 80
It was so
degrees.
hot that day. Yeah, Elaine ran it
so
that
hot.
Year. Yeah, it was so hot.
It was so terrible. And so by the time I got to 13, I had a bunch of friends who were like, we're gonna go, we'll do it together. And I was like, I literally am so dehydrated, I'm gonna pass out. Like it was so it piled, and it was so bad. And so I dropped, I DNF'd, and I went home and slipped into this like, I'm never gonna run again. I'm so embarrassed. I am so heartbroken because like people from my childhood had come out to cheer me.
Oh shit.
And like they were like, where were you? We waited for hours.
Oh.
And I was
like don't talk to me right now. Yeah.
And as like a performance-based achiever, like it just sucked all the love of running I had. And so I didn't run for months, like straight up. And then of course I signed up to do the Disney Princess Challenge in February.
Oh yeah.
So it was like marathon was shit in October. The November, December, I should train for this, right? Like I should do that. So went to Disney with a really close friend and bonked the 10K and the half.
Oh,
like made it 3 miles in, and they were like, "No, you're swept. That's it." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, whatever. I'm happiest place on earth. I better move on." And and so with those Disney races, you do the 10, you do the half, you get a challenge medal. At Disney, super fun fact, even if you get swept, you still get the medal. You don't get the challenge medal, but you get the regular medal because you paid all that money.
Exactly. They're just like, we're just giving these. Yeah.
They're like, it's fine, don't worry, it's fine. And so I bonked both those races, and then I kind of was just like, I need a real break. And so I was trying to run for fun, but every time I went out, I felt so much self-pressure from like trying to pace myself faster and trying to move faster than I was meant to go. And I was like, this is a terrible, it's another one of those societal pressure things. Like there's all of this media and all this stuff that like anyone can be a runner, all of us can run. You a mile at 12 minutes is the same as a 5-minute mile, but like my mile is like a 16-minute mile, like a 17-minute mile. And it's the way that the running world is set up, especially for competitive running or like races, those kinds of things, it forces slower runners to not participate.
Yeah.
Even if they had the guts to show up,
Yeah.
you're getting shunned and you're getting almost punished for being slower.
Yeah.
You know? And so
100%.
like, yeah. And so it was like, I don't really want to race for a while. And so I haven't raced since. And so I took my, I applied for the 2022 Chicago Marathon. Like, redemption. It'll be great. I'll train. Yeah. I'm in a crowd, like all Rocky style. I was very excited. And then I got to like July, and every long run I was in tears. Like every tempo run broke my heart, and I was like, this isn't it. This isn't how I want to run. And so I deferred, and I was like, who knows if I'll take it next year. So I've just been really running for fun and just like moving the way my body wants to move, which is, it's a hard thing because running is so wonderfully based in like numbers and stats and like how far you go and how fast you go. And like, normally I love that stuff. Like that's great. But now that stuff kind of sends me into a spiral, and it's like, this is supposed to be the thing that helps me relax. That winds me up. So been working through that with some great licensed health professionals.
Amazing. I mean, you're bringing up such a good point. It's this thing that like I try and push back against all the time. And it's a narrative that people have with me because the perception of me is that I'm an ultra runner. I'm a distance runner. I've done some very long distances. And so people always feel this narrative when they're talking to me like, oh, I just did this. Oh, I just did this. Oh, I'm slow. Oh, I just did this. I'm slow. And I'm like, okay, well, one, it's not a just. The vast majority of people in the world don't even run a 5K. Don't even run a 5K. Training for a 5K is a valid thing to do, right? Exactly. And slow is your own perception on something. I wouldn't even ever consider myself fast, right? But I'm also not going to consider myself slow because I feel like I'm putting in a workout, you know?
Right.
So like, why it's like, if you're not doing 7 or 8 minute miles, like you're not a runner. And that's a lot more in the road running world.
Absolutely.
But it still exists in the ultra running world. Like if you've not run 100-miler, you're not an ultra runner, which is the stupidest distance, honestly. Sorry, 100-milers. I don't love the 100-mile distance, but like, that's it. Like, like, why do you have to keep going farther to consider yourself more, like validate your own running experience? Like, why can't you just be someone who just why I'm doing it right now? Why can't you just do 5Ks and 10Ks and still be a runner? Like, you should be able to, and do whatever 5K and 10K you want to do. Like, you don't have to run further to be a runner.
Yeah. I think it pulls back to that, like the stats and the numbers and people loving that part of it. Like, data is so great, but it's also like, you would never say that to a swimmer, a basketball player, you know, a base, like any kind of activity, any athlete, right? Like, oh, I only got four home runs. I'm sorry, what? Bro, I only got a goal. What? No way. Like, you landed that double bar thing. Well, oh, you did like a back handspring? Fuck yeah. Like, our society doesn't celebrate accomplishments, right? It's always like, what can you do better? What are you going to do next? Cool, you did that. I'm done with that. What is next? Right? What can you do more? And I think like runners get that all the time. It's like, oh, your 5K was great. 10. 10K? Marathon. You should do that one. And you're just like, do you even realize how much goes into this?
Like, even doing this. And I mean, the whole thing is like, running is supposed to be a stress relieving, joyful activity. One, I mean, I'm saying this as a race director, you don't even need to effing run a race. I know plenty of people that don't even race and are still valid runners, and they have their own motivations and their own things that drive them. And people that are just like, oh, I do this amount of miles every week. Great. You don't have to do a race to be a runner. And you don't, but like, and it's working, I mean, against so many things in society to just say like, no, I'm a runner if I show up with my shoes and I run. And that's it.
I went outside and I moved for a distance and I enjoyed it. That's it. You know?
So you've been running for fun. How is it going?
I mean, It's been okay. I'm working on coming to terms with my body's moving the way it's moving, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm just going out. When I want to run, I run. When I want to walk, I walk, and I just go. I enjoy listening to my scary murder podcast. I
Ooh,
love me some
yes.
true crime,
Oh, what are your true
throwing
crime
some
podcast of choice?
oh True Crime Obsessed is my favorite.
Oh, okay. I don't know
It's
that one.
oh oh
I've
it's
been listening to Let's Go to Court. That's been my jam
ooh
lately. Oh, you
that's
don't
a
know
good
that?
one too.
Oh, okay, you
I
do.
don't know
Okay.
that one.
I'll do it.
I yeah,
We'll
True Crime
switch.
Obsessed is it's funny because they do like reviews of true crime documentaries or TV
Oh,
shows.
that's
And
fun.
so it's like you're sitting on the couch with like two best friends and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like it's so funny. It's like murdery but also funny.
Yeah.
And then Small Town Murder is also my jam. Like
Mm.
those guys are terrible, but it's hilarious.
Oh my goodness. I don't listen to either one of those. So you've just given me two new true crime. And that's what I listen to. Like when I'm out on my morning runs. Do you listen to them in the morning when
Yes.
you're out? And it's like the
Mm-hmm.
spookiest time to be listening to them. Why am I doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
You're like, someone got murdered in Tennessee, and you're like, you know what? I should listen to someone being murdered in Minneapolis while I go out in
Yeah.
the semi-dark. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, let me do that. Let me do that just like right away. Okay, so this
Yeah.
is the thing I always ask true crime people. I'm totally going off topic, but like who killed
Oh.
John Benet Ramsey?
You know what? I feel like both parents, like they were in on it.
Yeah,
Like they gotta be,
yeah. I
when you look at that
know.
one from like a step back, you're like,
Nothing else
people in
makes
that house,
sense.
like people immediately in the house, the cops weren't there. You just let people wander around. Oh
Yeah,
no, you were trying to get, oh no,
yeah. The whole
no,
thing, and
no
we'll never
girl.
know. We'll never know. How
I
sad.
know.
Okay, we're gonna move off that team.
Sorry.
So what's motivating you to get out the door and continue to run? You don't have a race in your schedule. You're not training for anything. What's keeping you showing up?
Well, I did just buy new running shoes, so
Oh,
I
yes.
threw some
And you
money into
run
that instead.
faster when you buy new running
I
shoes.
mean, preschool
Science.
logic. New
Yeah.
shoes make me fast.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
every 4-year-old in my room will tell you that. A big one is my kids. Like
Mm,
it sounds cliche, but it's less the like, oh, I want to be healthy for my kids for sure. But it's the like my daughter, my oldest, is very athletic just by nature, and so she asks me all the time. She's like, oh, do you want to like go for a walk together? Like,
oh,
wouldn't that be fun?
cute.
I'm like, sure. Or she's like, did you run today? Like, I know you were up early. Did you run? Or did you spin today? Like, she's just always very interested in kind of what
Hmm.
I'm doing, which is always just,
Yeah.
but like, it's one of those like, if my mom hears this, mom, I love you. Sorry in advance if somebody I know hears this, and I love my
Yeah.
mom.
Okay.
I mean, very, very 1990s, almond mom. Like, I
Hmm.
don't know if you've heard that phrase, but
Yeah.
like, you know, lived on the diet,
Hmm.
didn't exercise for joy, like all of those things. And I think my daughter seeing me just doing things because I like to do them is such a good like instilling thing, right? Like they come out like I did a race. It had to be 2021 because it was the year I did Chicago, and it was Take the Bridge, and I mean,
Mm,
don't
yeah.
take the bridge is not you don't fuck around to take the bridge. I didn't know that, and I would not have
And so
done it,
you did fuck around with it.
and I did fuck around, and it was a mistake. It was like, all right, we're gonna do a mile lap. It has to be under 10 minutes, and then if you have any extra time after your mile, you're gonna run up and down the hill at Oz. And how many
Oh,
times you run up and down, you get points. Whoever gets the most points in 3 laps wins. And here I am,
oh shit.
much, much bigger and not as athletic as all of these collegiate runners in their Speedos and crop tops. And I was just like, oh, ooh, this is danger. I do not need to fucking be here. But like, my co-leader of November Project was like, oh, it'll be so much fun. And I was like, all right, cool, why not, right? And I did 1 lap. I did not make the cutoff. But as I'm coming in, my daughters are standing on the sidewalk between like the baseball diamonds and the hill, and my daughters are just cheering so loud, like the
Oh.
pride leaking out of their faces, and like it just was so like it was just that magical moment. And someone got a picture of us like hugging at the finish line, and it's like the picture I frame and put on every desk I have because it's one of my favorite photos, because it's just the thing that gets me out there is like knowing that this is what it's almost what's best for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
by pushing myself to do this, I'm better. I'm a better person. I'm a better mom. I'm a better partner. I'm a better teacher. Like all of those things that maybe don't make me the best me kind of go away when I run. And so
Mm-hmm.
like that's why I keep doing it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've had that said
Yeah.
to me before on this podcast by a parent specifically that like if they don't run, they're not the father and they're
Yeah.
not the husband and they're not, the son or whatever that
Yeah.
is their best self that they could show up as if they're not running. So I love
Yeah.
that this narrative is like continuing on. It's, putting it in my face time and time again, keep
Yeah.
showing up. So talk to me about the November project because I have seen you do this, but I have no idea what it is.
Oh, it is honestly, it's really funny because I find I love being a solo athlete, like running, swimming, those kinds of like I don't like depending on anyone else for my success, I guess. It's weird.
Yeah.
So November Project, I mean the background of it, it's a free community, like a workout community that started in Boston. It's now in like 42 or 46
Oh,
cities
wow.
around the world. But basically it's this group of people who all enjoy being athletic or running, like mainly runners, but anyone can come. And it's 2 or 3 people who lead the group. It's a workout once or twice a week, usually very early in the morning. Like so our workout is at 6:06 because of the 6:06.
Yeah.
Our area code. But our zip code, not area
I got you.
I was like, close enough. But it was so funny. I found it because I was listening to a podcast. They were like November Project. It's like I should look up Chicago. It's a big enough city. And I posted on their Facebook page. It's like, hi, I'm super nervous. I'm not a fast runner, but I would love to find people who love to run. And I think maybe 25 or 30 people commented on it. And they were like,
wow.
come, we would love to have you. What color shirt will you be wearing so we can say hi to you in the morning? Like, let us know. It'll be great. And so like the locations change every month, but this one was at the Humboldt Park Boathouse. And I showed up and I made my shirt, and it happened to be what would have been marathon weekend that year.
Oh, wow.
Like that Columbus Day Friday. And I get there and like 8 people come up and introduce themselves to me. How'd you find us? We're so happy you're here. And it turns out that it was also yearbook picture day. So they do yearbook pictures every year. And I was like, what if I never come back and I'm in these yearbook photos? Ooh, it's so much social pressure. And like the workout was hilarious. Like we're doing like partner squats and running around and doing sprint and all this stuff. And everyone is just laughing and having such a good time. And we took all these silly photos and like, it was just so great. Like it, and I tell my friend Nez, who was the co-leader at the time, I tell him all the time, I'm like, this is one of the best decisions I've ever made, because as an adult, finding people who like what you like genuinely is so hard. And there's just this huge group. And so it's, I continued going when I could. And so because of my young girls, it's difficult because we go to school afterwards. When it was just me and my oldest, we would go to workouts as long as it was warm enough for her to be outside. So she would come with her little tagged November Project blanket.
Oh, cute.
On her iPad, and I would work out, or she would work out with us. And, like we would just enjoy being active together. And it's amazing. Like, so they have different chapters in different cities, and each city has a different tag because it's literally this metal stamp that they spray paint on a shirt. And so it always says November Project, and then it has ours is the stars. And anytime you go to a different city, you can get that city's tag. And so this summer we went to San Francisco, and I got the tag from San Francisco, which is the Golden Gate Bridge. And like people collect tags all over these shirts, and like it's so
that's really
fun.
fun.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things.
Amazing. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about, I mean, you've already given me this heartbreaking story about the Chicago Marathon, and I hate the way that they treated you for that, because I mean, that's not the way in the trail and ultra running community, primarily, that people that in the race are treated. For the most part, we all very much respect anyone that has been out there longer on their feet to grit through a race. So talk to me about what you would like to see in road races and major marathons and stuff like that. Like, I know that they can't just keep the course open forever, right? Like at some point there has to be a time constraint.
And you say that.
Oh, no.
But like we're talking a major like New York. New York stays open until the last runner finishes. Nothing goes down
Oh,
until the last runner passes. The finish line, the support, the guards on the streets, you just drive around, bro. Figure it out. Like, New York is also an out and back. Like, you start far and you come down.
okay.
Because Chicago is a loop, it's a little more complicated. But London's the same way.
Yeah.
London, you run the race, you run the race. When you come in, you come in.
Yeah.
But like Tokyo, I just learned this. Tokyo, if you don't make certain checkpoints at certain times, you're done.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you didn't hit 10K in this time? Off.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, oh, but you know, not for me. One of the things, like, it's funny because my coach and a few of my training buddies have always talked about like giving back of the pack runners more time on the course by having them start first. Like,
yeah.
Getting that elite, elites have things to do, places to be. I get that, but like, can we have a left lane and a right lane?
Yeah. Like, you just stay on the right, stay on the outer course.
You stay on your right. I'll
Am I really going to be in their way that much?
Right. I'll take the longer tangent. No problem. You'll be past me in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother anyone. But by starting at, 6, when the course closes at 3, that gives the slowest runner 9 hours instead of 6.
Oh, is it 6? I was wondering what it was. That's tight.
So Chicago's 6:30. It's a 15-minute pace from the last runner that starts. So if you are the last runner and you are not running a fifth
corral.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
They also knock out anyone who's like super honest about their time. Like if I'm like, oh yeah, I run a 3-hour marathon, I could get up in Corral C.
Yeah.
I could have a whole extra 4, but
but
it's one of those things that like my big thing is the lack of like course support. Like, couldn't you have left the table with some water?
Yeah.
Like just that would have helped me so much physically. Like I mean, and I don't know if it's the same after, like, sometimes after races, like if you're not doing it the way that's going to be most healthy, I always feel like there's like a hangover.
Oh,
like,
yeah, there is.
Your body is sore, you're drained of your electrolytes and all of the fuel in your body. And like, being dehydrated and all of those things just exacerbate that by so much. And like, a cup of water at mile 8 would have been helpful. And then I wouldn't have gone 6 miles with no extra aid, like, and the way they sets up how you prepare for that day. Like, I had a water bottle on my waist pack because you can't take a backpack into Chicago. You're not allowed to have
but people do.
You're not, right? People do, but you're not supposed to. It's a safety hazard. Like I'm sure it's because of Boston, but like that, or like you're allowed to have like the packs here, but they don't want you to have like that. So like, you're running. If I'm going to be on course for 8 hours, I need 8 hours worth of fuel. I can't carry the dinky little piece on your waist, so once that's gone. So like my big thing is like medically and safety wise supporting your back of the pack runners, but also like emotionally. Like that's the other big thing is like your race. I remember the first time I ran the Childish Nonsense, it was so fun because there were people everywhere. Like nobody left. Like, also it was an ultra race, and so there were people doing way more laps than I was at the time, but there were people everywhere. In Chicago, as soon as you get, the first half hour, 45 minutes worth of people in your spot, you're going to move to go follow your runner. And then it's gone. Like, people were like, the magic of the marathon. Wait 20 minutes for the fast people to go by, and then everyone's gone. And it's silent again. It's just a city. You're just running on your own. And a lot of people who I've heard be successful in their marathons, or like tell me the good things about their marathons, the crowd support, right? Like, I wear my name on my bib and people yell my name. There's no people. So like, it's also that where it's like, they know the sweepers are coming, so they're just going to go because the sweepers are coming. Who cares if there's other people back there? Like,
I mean, you're looking at it from the perspective, and like when you were talking, I was like, it's like the humanity got pulled both from the race organizers and even the supporters. And I think part of that is there's not an understanding within the supporters or people within road running that there are people considered back of the pack, right? That there are still people going that are runners, right? That are not in the front, and they're not going to be finishing in 4 hours, right? Or 5 hours or whatever. But the humanity involved in the actual marathon organizers, that there's no one, a volunteer, anyone just to have a conversation, check on with people that we know have trained for this same event for months, just like everybody else here, to say like, hey, I'm sorry, dude. We got to pull you from the course. What do you need? How do we get you back to your vehicle or your car or whatever? Like you're in the middle of Chicago. Like,
And especially like I'm a native. So like I could have gotten home. Like I had people who could get me. But if you weren't from here, if you traveled for this race, you end up all the way in Wrigleyville.
Yeah, you have no idea how to get back to anywhere.
Started, you know, and it's just, I mean, you could end up like, and we're talking about the safe side of the city, if we're being honest. Like, stuck in Lincoln Park, cool. You hit the red line, you take it back down. You get stuck on the west side on that one loop.
Yeah,
that could be terrifying, especially if you're not from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and they're just like, we're gonna sweep. Okay, bye. And they just leave you. They're like, like I took off my bib because I was like, I'm so embarrassed that I'm here. Here I am. Hundreds and thousands of people have come before me. Here I am struggling at the back. I don't need anyone knowing how bad this has gone for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's happened in most, I mean, Disney was much more polite.
Yes.
They have a vehicle that picked you up. The vehicle took you back. You got checked at the med tent. They gave you like a first aid thing that had like fuel and Gatorade and, you know, your medal. Like all, like they made sure everyone is fine before they released you into like the area where runners go to their families.
Yeah.
But like these huge races can't, I mean, one, they couldn't logistically do that, but like the idea that there's so many races, like my close friend runs in Pennsylvania, and she did a race, half marathon, trained to the pace. They told her the cutoff was, you know, 15 minutes from the last runner, and she was 3 or 4 crowds up from the last runner. 25-30 minutes into her half, a car came through and like took the aid station, took the things, and just left. Like, and then a guy on a bike showed up who was like the first aid like marshal, and he's like, "Are you running the race?" And she was like, "Yeah, what happened?" He goes, "Oh, well, they pulled the stuff early because there weren't as many people as they thought there was going to be. So like,
but there's
the
still
slower people would just have to go." Like they just left them stranded. And so like he rode with them and like got them Gatorade and came back. Like he was great. But like she formally complained to like the race director, and he was just like, "Well, I guess you should be faster, or like maybe don't race." Yeah, F that guy.
Fuck that guy. I'm
like,
gonna need that guy's details outside of this conversation. Fuck that guy.
Because I know where he works.
I mean,
but it was just like what the fuck?
Disney is such a great comparison because I know that Disney as a whole is able to handle back of the pack runners better. The races are built for people more so in the back of the pack. They just are.
Exactly.
Right. So they have shuttles. I mean, in an ultra running, like if you get pulled at an aid station, you have to make it to the next aid station. You get timed out there. There's a shuttle or somebody is taking you back to where you go. But you're telling me in Chicago, you get swept and you're just abandoned on the side of the road. I'm sorry, we're a major city. There's buses. They could say, hey, if you make it to aid station 8, aid station 13, whatever it is.
You make it to mile 8, we'll
shuttle.
Get you on an empty CTA bus.
Yes.
There are
hundreds
of thousands of those efforts.
Yeah. Like we can't have that consideration because it wasn't like it was just you being swept. You know,
I mean, there were multiple people. Like I rolled through the aid station at Lincoln Park Zoo, and I was like, I had water, and I was like, what's going on? They're like, oh, they're starting to sweep. I mean, they're like dumping water and Gatorade into the grass. Like they're like, no one else is coming. Fuck it.
That's so upsetting.
Like the porta potties were there. That was another great landmark. Like, oh, there used to be something here because there's porta potties.
Yeah.
But that was it. And it was like not an official, not a first aid fucker on a bike, not a car coming around to see if you were good. Like they were like, no, if the police came by and gave you the warning to get to the street, like that's it. Like that's, and even at the end, like I've gone to cheer at Chicago before. So if you're on Roosevelt and people are coming around that corner, once they start taking those things down, they make you go up the sidewalk. I've seen it like not this year. This year they went over the hill, but like up the sidewalk, down under that ramp under LSD, and then back up and over.
Whoa.
So like that's like all this extra distance because you can't keep the fucking street closed for another half hour. You know, like the finish is 0.2 that way.
Yeah.
They're already here.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know if it's just like, and I've never done any other major races in other major cities, and unfortunately, I don't know many people who have completed them because, you know, if they're slower, it's not like they're advertising that experience. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing. You know,
Yeah.
that's the other thing is like, you know, I bonked so hard and it
Mhm.
was like, I didn't want to talk about it forever because it was just so fucking embarrassing. But to be able to tell people like, oh, like when I went to cheer this year, we stayed on one strip after mile 13
Mhm.
for like an hour and a half for a long time. We saw pretty much everyone roll through. And then the street cleaners started to come through and I almost had a panic attack because the
Oh,
noise sent me right back to that. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta be
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. Bad
out.
vibes all around.
And it was just like, ah. And my friend was like, what the hell was that? I was like, oh, that's the sweepers. Literally.
Yeah.
Chicago's like, oh yeah. Like I could just imagine the guys at like sanitation, like, oh shit, bro, you got the ladder. You're gonna do the marathon. We make shirts.
Yeah.
Watch. I'm gonna tally how many people cry when I sweep past them. It's
Oh
gonna be great.
God.
Fuck that
I mean,
lady.
literally, you had to get the sweeper, like the
What?
big giant, like we can't do this any of that.
Oh,
So what I'm
I
hearing
mean,
is that Chicago Marathon is not for back of the pack runners.
Chicago Marathon
They
like
don't give a
presents
fuck
itself.
about back of the
They
pack
don't give
runners.
a
I mean, I'll
fuck.
just make that statement.
I would love to put out something and be like, hi, if you're a back of the pack runner and you've ever been swept, I'd love to hear your experience just
Mhm.
to see if it's as traumatic as the one I've had.
Yeah.
Like they don't give a flying fuck. Like, I mean, it's just 80 degrees. Like the course was a yellow at the start and turned into a red. And you
Mhm.
just left fucking people out there with no hydration, no way to get help if they needed it. Like if I would have passed out,
Yeah.
I a good Samaritan would have had to find my ass.
Yeah.
Like there was no one from the race. It was ridiculous. And such a big race to be like, not that, and that's the thing is like, there are some races that pride themselves, like, we're great for back of the packers. We're great for slower runners. Like, why is that? Like, it just, why isn't that the norm?
Yeah. Why isn't that
Like,
the standard? This people are
why
still
isn't that
paid the
the
same
thing?
amount as
These
every other
athletes,
finisher.
right? These athletes, these people who busted their ass for months to come and run this race, and then you just like disappear on them.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a friend who ran New York a few years ago, and it was this year or last year. It was on daylight savings time, and so it was like dark at like 4 p.m. And
Oh
she's like
gosh.
in the dark by herself on the road till
Mhm.
she got to Central Park. Like it was like, ugh.
Yeah. 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 Oh
Who's gonna
goodness.
carry a light vest with them on a marathon? No
Yeah.
one.
No one.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're doing a super race and you're in the desert and shit, and they put that on your packing list.
Yeah.
Headlamps, lighted vest. They don't do that. The marathon is like, we love runners.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's even like the secondary thing of like, it takes a certain person to train for a marathon 100%. It's an
Right.
accomplishment across the board for everyone, but it's taking this other secondary bravery and courage to show up as a back of the packer in a space
Right.
that like you feel like you're looking around like who else looks like me, who
Right.
else is like me here. I don't have the runner's body, right,
Right.
that is put out there. So like where am I even represented in this space? And you're showing up where you don't look like
Right.
other people and you know you're going to be in the back of the pack and people don't consider you a runner. Like even
Right.
that
It's like,
bravery to show up, like Jesus.
oh, big kid, you showed up. Oh, honey.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Great
And
for
it's
just showing up, right? Like that's like the
right. Right.
demoralizing
Like,
thing.
oh, what that bullshit one where it's like did not finish is better than did not start. It's
Oh,
better
I'm
than
going
getting off
faster
the
than everybody
couch.
on the couch. Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Busted my ass for 4 months. I want my medal, bitch. I want my medal. I want my cheesy Instagram pictures. I
Yeah.
want to find a dog to put that thing on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want it
Yeah.
all.
I've got plans. But
I
right
got
now you're
plans
just
for
running for
that.
fun.
Right. And now it's like I'm so terrified to run a race because I don't like, I mean, I don't know. I was never a theater kid. I was told I should have been. But like, putting yourself out there and being like, all right, here I am. I showed the fuck up. And they're like, actually, we would love it if you didn't. It
Shit.
ruins
Yeah.
the shot. Can you move to the left?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like,
You're like, thanks, world.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, even it's so stupid. It's such a minute thing for so many, but like I went to a race with a friend and we were picking up our t-shirts and like the size of the t-shirts.
Oh gosh, yeah. You're
like
what's even happening here?
I always have to get a men's shirt.
Yeah.
Because the women's shirts are crop tops and
Oh
they only
God,
go
yeah.
to a 34 bucks.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know that the average woman in America is a 14, 16, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking like a 40 band.
Yeah.
Nike. Get your shit together. Call you on that bullshit. Fuck that noise. Also, Lululemon. I'm calling that shit out too. Fuck you.
Yeah. They're trying. They've got, what's their name? What's their name? Oh gosh.
Oh,
They've got that
Myrna?
one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That her? Yes.
They've got that one representative. They're trying.
One.
I know.
This is also my bullshit with Brooke. Like Jeffrey Binney is on their team now.
Oh yeah,
he's like that. He's like that one ultra guy who does
the
ultra
TikToker. Yeah,
the TikToker. He's super funny. He's great.
One. Yeah.
One larger person. And if like I've applied to do Brooks because I'm like, hey, I've got a story to tell. Why not? Let's try it. What size would you like your gear to come in? Well, you don't make a women's size large enough, so I hope the men's shit is cute.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be inclusive. You don't have things that are inclusive enough.
Yeah. And part of that is that the people making those inclusive decisions aren't diverse enough to be making those inclusive decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those trickle things. Like society doesn't respect or like people who aren't what they want people to look like. So it's almost punishment. It's like, you're different. Actually, don't. No, we're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're not fitting in this box, but like we have our one. Look, we have our one.
Look, we
filled the bucket.
White guy.
We filled the bucket.
He's white though. That's okay, right?
We're representing.
He's white. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We made it as easy as possible.
Yeah, we like him.
Oh my goodness.
He's real funny. Have you seen his TikTok?
I know.
Like,
you're like, we're
no
doing
offense to him because I love him.
No offense to the people that they've chosen as their representatives, but
it's annoying. It's annoying as shit when you're like filling out that form and you're just like, I'm a plus size mother runner. Yeah. I bust my ass. Wouldn't it be cool to see someone who actually did shit you did?
Yeah.
On those accounts? Like, oh fuck, you run a 15-minute mile? That's realistic as fuck.
Yeah.
Not knocking the, adorable couple doing yoga.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see, a mom who has, 3-day no shower hair and, is wearing the Brooks she got a year ago because she can't remember to buy her own shoes because she buys her kids' shoes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the content I want to see.
Yeah. Because you're like, that's relatable.
That's what that's what I need to see.
And you even know that because the people that you're associating with in your groups and in your training groups, like those people are existing in the world.
Right. We're here. People are here, but they don't have the same platform as other people. So it makes it appear that that we are not. And so it always cracks me up because my least favorite comment, and people mean it in the best way, is always like, I'm so proud of you for getting out there.
I know. Oh gosh. Yeah.
I mean, all right. If I was trying something new, sure. I've been doing this. I've been doing this one for years. I have the amount of gear in a basket to show you. How many sprint hats I own? I committed to this persona. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
But both of them, like, we're just so happy that you're doing it.
Yeah. That you're even doing it. That's the accomplishment.
Right. Like,
you're like, no, I'm succeeding. I am maintaining a healthy relationship with myself and my body. And I'm getting out there. Like, I am succeeding, even though if I'm not thriving by your measurement of what I should be doing, I am succeeding as a runner.
Yeah. Society says I should be doing this, but you know what? I'm doing great right here.
Yeah.
This lane is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I think you're doing awesome. I think you're a runner. Hey. I mean, society doesn't ask me for my opinion really ever. So
I mean, the name of your group has society in it, so I'm gonna go with it.
Very totally true. In this society,
bitch, which is one of the only ones that matters. Like,
that's so perfect. Okay, I know you're not training for anything, so I'm not going to ask you the usual question I ask people, but I am going to ask you, like, in terms of like stretch goals, dream goals, big goals, what do you have for yourself? Scary goals.
Scary goals. I think one day I'd like to make the Chicago Marathon my bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Do
one's
it.
on there. I'd love to show the fuck up and just like take that medal and then like kick it on the way out and
Yeah.
sit and just be done with it. I also think like I just would like to get to the point with my own like fitness and enjoyment with running where like I could, like, oh, I'm gonna run, the half here and like go on a trip and run a half and have fun. Like that'd be fun for me. I think I'd like to go like, run in Hawaii or something like crazy. Like it's really funny because what? I'd love to run a race with my daughter.
Oh,
Like
yes.
I'd like to do that one day, I would love to just love running. I would just like to have it be something that it's something that I love doing that helps me connect to people who are like me and keep me, who I am, I guess. Like, I don't know, it's funny, like as a as an educator, goals are a big thing. And so for like our kids always have goals and we have goals for every year. And so it's funny to like put it in that context and be like, what are your running goals? And it's just kind of like it's the first time in a long time that I haven't had a huge race on the dock or anything like that. But yeah, I would say like kicking the marathons out would be great.
Yeah.
Running with my kids would be great. I don't know, maybe one day get crazy and do more ultra things. Who knows?
I think what you said was perfect because I think even like I train for stuff and I do stuff, but ultimately my goal is just to have a really long, healthy relationship with running. And there's no end date on that. That's day by day, that's week by week, that's year by year. But ultimately, if I can look back on my life and think like I kept this thing in my life that brought me so much joy in multiple aspects of my life, like that's the success, and that's not demonstratable until I die, really. So we'll find out.
Like end game goal, right? Like,
end game goal.
Being really old and be like, shit, my knees are great. Fuck all those guys who said they would hurt.
I have the best knees ever.
My knees are great. Don't talk to my shins though, because those fuckers are mad.
Yeah, don't talk about my hip, right? Like let's not talk about my hips, but knees all day. Knees all day. Yeah, one thing. Well, Britt, thank you so much for coming out and thank you for showing up. It is an inspiration to me, and not because you show up, but because like you continue to show up in the face of fucking assholes and garbage treatment and show up for yourself and show up for others. And I think that is just like brilliant and inspiring. So, keep it up.
Boom.
Mic drop. All right. Thank you so much, Britt.
No problem. Thanks, Allie.